What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Gunnar's Garage. And in this video, we are going to be talking about replacing Driveshaft U-joints. And, pretty much any U-joint. The process is going to be fairly similar, except this is just a little bit of a older style of U-joint. We'll get to that in a minute. But if you want to learn more, just continue watching the video. And yeah, let's get into it. Real quick, before I start this video, I did want to make an announcement. We are really close to hitting 600 subscribers. We're about 590 by the time this video is being recorded. So if you really want to help me out, hitting that subscribe button, that's the best way to do it. The only other thing that can help me out is if you want to actually donate and support the channel. I do have merch in the description below. It is a Teespring link, so it'll just bring you to Teespring, see my store on there. And I have this shirt and a bunch of other options, so if you want to check those out too, greatly appreciate it. Even just viewing the store would really help me out a bunch. So yeah, that's all I got for you. So let's get on to replacing some U-joints. All right, so if you haven't been caught up to date yet on my recent videos, I just got recently got a 1981 Chevrolet Camaro. And this is a non-running project, and so it's a big, huge thing. There's gonna be tons more videos that I'm gonna be making on it. So definitely stick around for those. But this is the drive shaft out of that Camaro. When I bought the car, the drive shaft was just basically sitting in the passenger seat. And so don't really know why, besides like the yoke is missing. So they may have done something with the differential, or maybe they just wanted to replace the yoke. I don't know what the story is. Maybe they were about to change the U-joints and never got around to it. But I did get the yoke and the straps and everything to kind of, hook everything back up essentially. So I just decided to change the U-joints while it's out. Well, since I didn't have to take it out. So that's why we're here. Now you may have heard me say in the beginning of the video that this is an older style, which it is. A lot of the newer styles will have some clips around the actual the part that connects the U-joint to whatever it's connecting to. There is these plastic little wormy dealies that are in there that you have to melt, and then it basically, this plastic piece was how they connected everything before they switched to these kind of C-clips or rings or whatever you want to call them. But essentially, this is like the new style, even though this is on the old U-joint, I guess. But you have something that looks like this that will secure it to the car when we're done. So that's gonna be how it all works together. But for now, we got some melting to do. We actually have to heat up this area right here and melt these plastic tabs off, and then we can get to the actual removing process. So let's do that. Let's melt these guys up, start our torch, and we should be golden. All right, so there is the plastic tabs. It's gonna be some on each side here. I think I actually have to rotate it a little bit. I have a very unique setup going on here, but as you could probably tell, I did chip it off a little bit because I didn't know what I was looking at. I actually had to YouTube the video before I started my own YouTube video. But so essentially we're just gonna heat up this area, and we should see them just kind of ooze and pop out. So let's get to it, I guess. I'm just gonna see what happens. Dude, that thing freaking reeks, man. this is the first one. And it is going to go on the ground. Dude, that freaking reeks. Now we just unfortunately have to do it again on this side, and then we'll have to do it on the other side, and blah, blah, blah. So all right, real quick before we get too far along here. See, I actually ended up marking with a Sharpie just the direction of this goes, because drive shafts are balanced. So if you get this screwed up somehow, then when we get on the road, it's going to be a big vibrating mess. So yeah, you mark it with this part right here, the part that goes into the transmission, and with the rear yoke as well. I would have marked it if I actually had a if like it had the original yoke for the rear. So I only have this side, so hopefully when I put it all back together with all the new stuff, we should be in still pretty good business. But just for now, this is how I'm doing it, and this is how you should do it too. Just mark all your ends. Just be sure you do that. But I'm gonna heat up all this, and then we should be all good to go ahead and put everything back together. So it would be this kind of the similar situation on both sides here, you know, the both of the yoke sides. So getting this orange crap is out of here is really irritating. I really wish I had C-clips. I don't know why that was GM's solution back in the 80s and 70s and who knows how long. But anyway, it's very stinky. This is a very smelly process so far. But anywho's, so you kind of see in the time lapse that you get, you know, at least 2 caps off, right? So for example, when you're still fully assembled, sometimes the socket trick works for, you know, just in case you don't break or bend or anything on your drive shaft. But essentially you are just striking here to pop that side off, flip it, and then you're going to strike right here. I think I used more of the socket on this side, but the socket is just so you don't absolutely beat the crap out of your drive shaft. You can be a little bit more forgiving on front U-joints on like Rams and stuff like that, like Ram 2500s and up. Trucks that utilize front U-joints as part of their axle. So you can wail on those a little bit more than you can a drive shaft. But anyways, so you basically get your first 2 caps off, and you know so I'm at the last one here, and when you get to your last 2, then you fully set the U-joint on the vise itself, and you know don't clamp it. You don't need to clamp it at all. And this is acting so it will push this cap up with the force that you apply on the drive shaft. There is kind of these nipples or ledges right here, so the socket doesn't like necessarily fit over it completely. You can definitely start it with this, and then trying to aim your hit on where on the yoke right here, so on where it kind of moves up a little bit, right on that ledge. It's going to be the most sturdiest point because you don't want to hammer on the drive shaft itself because you could risk damaging it. So yeah, this is kind of the point where I'm at. This is definitely a really slow and tedious process, heating all this up to basically red hot until it, you know, gushes everywhere. I keep trying to get money shots, but it always ends up going that direction for some reason. Anyway, so yeah, I would just all that to say I'd rather have C-clips that you would have to punch out instead of having to melt this crap and have it be smelly and annoying and fire danger and all that jazz. So, but I'm glad that I'm doing it now and not later. So I'm gonna cut the camera until I get this side disassembled, then we're gonna have another conversation, so on and so forth. All right, so for right now, we're gonna take some time and we're gonna actually clean this shaft up. And since it's covered in rust and this is the part that goes into the transmission, so we're gonna get this all cleaned up before we kind of move on. This is gonna be the easiest time to do it. Just grabbing a wire brush here, we're just gonna go to town. All right, there we have it. Definitely better than what we got or what we started with. Okay, so essentially what you want to do is this is to get it started. And we're making sure that we're lining it up with our marks and everything. Then you take your two ends and you just pop them in. So get them lined up. And then I just like to try and tap them a little bit. Then it went in a little bit better. So whichever one you kind of get started, we want to use that side to our advantage. All right, now with both of them kind of started, this is going to be the more important part, is you want this top, this part of the U-joint, the cap or whatever you want to call it, to be flush with your surface that you're pounding on. And to do that, what usually helps is picking up a side off the table and then giving it some strikes. That's basically what we're doing, is that we created, didn't necessarily hit the one on the top all the way in, but we did hit this one virtually all the way in. So, kind of pick it up a little bit. The goal here is, so my issue that I was facing was when you're doing this, the goal is so you're able to get one of those rings in there, one of those like almost like lock rings, but where you tap them. You're supposed to tap those rings in at all those points, and I was fighting with the fact that it wasn't, all of these caps weren't evenly pressed in all the way around. So the actual spacing between all of them to where you're supposed to put those kind of rings in, they weren't gonna fit no matter what I was trying to do there. They're just kind of half moon, or you know, half rings, or whatever you want to call them, snap rings. Yeah, they just kind of, you just tap them into all the spaces. You get 4 per U-joint. And then when you get those rings in, the snap rings in, then your drive shaft is married again. It's no longer divorced. So, and it was a pretty nasty breakup. So, and you definitely want it to be floppy. All right, update time. So I got this one all pretty much complete. Got that right there. And then we have this front one. This one is all sorts of good to go. So what I think I'm gonna do now is going to crawl under the car. We'll get this part installed. This is the yoke for the differential, so we'll get this part installed, and then we'll get the drive shaft slid under there, and we'll install these. These are straps for the U-joint right here. So when you put those caps on right there, and you will be able to strap it to this part right here. All right, update time. So I got the shaft right there, transmission and differential. So I'm actually going to, if you can probably see that, pretty dirty. So on second thought, we're not quite ready. We're going to clean that up first, and then we're going to put that yoke on, and so on and so forth. So yeah, let's actually skip to that part. All right, so good news is it may look like, unless it's supposed to be kind of green, may look like we might have some new internals, or it could be factory. This seal is most likely leaking, but we're gonna ignore that, and we're just gonna, yeah, just completely ignore that. Probably don't do this. This could most likely end badly. It's probably going to be what we want, or it could end really badly. All right, big update time. I actually had to fast forward a while before I gave you an update, and I wanted to kind of just get it done, actually. So, all right. Ooh, ground is cold. So we got that all situated. You want to put the car in park, or if it's manual, I guess, put it in gear. So you can tighten those all the way down. Make sure those 4 bolts right there. Do make sure, don't be an idiot like me and don't put any Loctite on. Please put Loctite on those. I'm just lazy and it's gonna bite me in the butt probably later in life. Drive shaft in, it does. It actually does get pretty snugly with the exhaust, but I did find a massive exhaust leak, so we are definitely gonna have to just replace the exhaust anyway. Probably just build a custom one, because I mean this one has definitely been customized. But anyway, we get so here is the slip joint. No, that doesn't sound right. That actually might sound right. The part that goes into the transmission, got that all dialed away. Funny enough, why it took forever is that bottom little U-joint cap right there that you see, that the C clip popped out while I was monkeying around with this thing. So it is actually a pretty tight fit, and by tight fit, I mean there was a lot of hammering involved to get everything perfect, because the drive shaft has not been in the transmission for who knows how long. So it took some finagling to actually get that thing to actually slip into the transmission. Sorry for the sniffles. It's been bad allergy day for me today. But yeah, we got that all dialed. And then, so that's what we're looking like. It is operating pretty smoothly. And yeah, so I think what we're gonna do now is we are going to... All right, so you may be wondering, why is it so zoomed in? Well, during the recording of this, I had a lot of allergies. So, for whatever reason, when I was on my belly filming this, I did not feel the large amount of snot coming out of my nose. So it was really gross, and therefore I had to zoom in a lot. So hopefully you understand, and hopefully you would like looking into my eyes. But yeah. It was really gross and disturbing, so I decided to just zoom it in and crop it out. So, anyways, here's what I have to say. To zip some wheels on, and then we'll be able to put this car on the ground for the first time in a long time. And I think that's all we're gonna really do bottom end for a while, until we either do some exhaust work. We definitely need to do exhaust work. Probably some trans and engine mounts at one point in time, but definitely not going to do that today. The main goal is to get it running and driving, and then make it sound good, and then make it functional. So that's kind of my list here. Now we're at the point of where we could take it off jack stands, because now we're done underneath the car. And next video we'll be diving into the carb and rebuilding the carb. So, well, that's going to be next video, or at least that's the planned next video, I should say. Might be something different, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but what I do know is that you need to hit that subscribe button. We're so close to hitting 600 subscribers, on the way to 1,000. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and while you're down there, hitting that like button will also help me out a bunch too. So let's put some wheels on. All right, well, this is definitely quite a sight to see. The Camaro on the ground off of jack stands. It's been like that for a very, we haven't seen this in a very long time, is what I'm trying to say. But this is actually very inspiring to just keep pushing and to mainly get it running again. That's going to be the big ticket. I know I sound like a broken record, but I got plans, so we just need to start executing said plans and just keep moving forward and just see where this will take us. But yeah, main goal is to get it to idle, and now that it's off jack stands, it's going to be actually a little bit easier to get in the engine bay. So that's nice. It was for us tall folk, it definitely can be easier to work in this kind of area with the car raised up a little bit, but I think it's actually going to be a little bit easier in this scenario to be working on it with the car all the way on the ground. But huge progress. We checked a big thing off of the list, which was getting the drive shaft installed. So that's a big plus. And now I don't have to worry about rebuilding it, rebuilding the drive shaft for a very long time. So that's going to be also a huge plus. But as you can probably tell at the end of that time lapse, I was just see if the park worked, which does, but it's not leaned up against the wheel chock back there or anything like that. So yeah, that was going to leave off for this chapter of the Camaro, and we'll be more excited to catch you guys up with the next video with the car rebuild. So definitely stick around for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.